Christina. Yes.
Hi.
Hi. Yes. Thank you for being a guest on my show today. It is such a great pleasure to have you on the show and to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an exciting time for me, for you, for all of us moving into a new level of service.
Yes, absolutely. Now, Christina, you are a member of Unity of Norwalk in Connecticut.
Yep.
And Unity of Norwalk will be hosting your concert for your debut CD, right?
Yes.
Called Dream Bigger
Yep.
on January 13th. And coincidentally, Unity of Norwalk is also going to be hosting the screening of a new thought film, in which I appear with Michael Beckwith and all these folks, called As a Man Thinketh on January 26th. So there's, of course, some exciting things going on over there at Unity in Norwalk.
There are. And it's interesting. I'm in a book club, and the latest book they decided for us to read is the book based upon the movie that you're featured in, which is amazing to me how the universe is kind of, it's all in alignment, you know?
I know. I got that text from you, and I was like, oh, OMG. This
Isn't that funny?
So fantastic. So Christina, can you tell us a little bit about how you found Unity and the New Thought teachings, and just give us some background on that?
Absolutely. Well, I actually originally went to a Swedish Lutheran church growing up, because my mom came to America from Sweden when she was 21 and met my dad, and she wanted to maintain the Swedish culture in mine and my brother's lives, which I thought was really wonderful.
Yes.
And so, yes, we belonged to this Lutheran church, which was such an amazing, it was a positive, supportive community. And it was, for me anyways, it built a really wonderful foundation, spiritual foundation. And so I was in the Lutheran church until I was, I want to say, my mid-20s. And then there was like a big break, about 10 years, I want to say, where I didn't go to any churches or any spiritual communities, and I just read books. And at that time, that is when I was introduced to Doreen Virtue's book called Divine Guidance.
Yes.
And I learned how to communicate with the universe. I learned how to communicate with my life so that I can learn to navigate the world in a way that's more in alignment with my soul. And so, I mean, I dove into books by Marianne Williamson and Carolyn Neese.
Yes.
Louise Hay. I started with A Course in Miracles. And so I did all of this around 10 years with just did my own thing internally. And then I want to say after about 10 years, I was really feeling pulled to find a community of like-minded people. Because even though it's nice to read books and things like that, I believe we really need to surround ourselves with like-minded people to expand and move into that next level.
Yes, there's something to be said for sharing it, like sharing what you're learning and sharing other people's experiences, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, so then I went to found Unity of Norwalk, and it's been my spiritual home ever since. I've been there for about 8 years now.
Awesome.
Oh, I love it. We were just there today, and Edwene Gaines was a featured speaker last Sunday, and she is
yes.
She is a powerful woman.
Yes, she is an amazing woman. Yes. I interviewed her on the show, and her energy, and she's in the film that As a Man Thinketh as well. So it's really just awesome. So I'm so glad that you got an opportunity to meet her.
Absolutely. No, she's divine for sure.
Yes.
And I really felt so grounded and confident in her presence because she's so grounded.
Yes.
You know,
Exactly.
I mean, she said to me, she came up to me and she said, "Your time has come. This is your time." And it's like, I was like, yes.
She knew it.
I didn't doubt it for a second.
Yes. She's so supportive and loving. I found that to be true of her. So such a blessing.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yes. Now, Christina, I do believe that we each have different gifts and talents, ordained by Spirit, by God to us. And some of us find that we want to share them with the world, of course, to benefit others. And so like, for instance, for me and even Edwene, you know, we use our writing and our workshops and the movies and this sort of thing to reach others with the New Thought message. And of course, and everyone that I interview, whatever, they all have different gifts and talents. And clearly, for those that the viewers that don't know, but they will know shortly, that you have a beautiful, gorgeous voice, and that clearly is a gift of spirit. And you've been singing since you were a child, because we've spoken privately about that. And can you, and you're using your beautiful voice, of course, to carry the message of love and light and oneness, which is, of course, is the ultimate message of New Thought. And I just wanted you to share, if you could just describe how your parents, for instance, supported you with your gifts and talents and sort of fostering them relating to your singing. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. Well, gosh, as early as I want to say, I think it was second grade, my music teacher in our elementary school actually called my parents up and brought them to the school and sat them down and said, your daughter has a gift, and I urge you to support her and make sure she continues with this because it's her passion too. And they listened. And gee, I started private voice lessons when I was in seventh grade at college level at a university.
Wow.
And I stayed in the private voice lessons through college. And I remember when I was in middle school, because every Wednesday was a half Wednesday, was a half day. And on the half day, most of the kids would go skiing in the winter. We would go do fun things. But that was my voice lesson day. So all my friends were piling in the bus to go skiing or go to some like fun place. And my mom was sitting there waiting in the car with my sandwich and my apple juice to take me to my voice lesson. And of course, at the time, it was sometimes, you know, when you're a kid, you wanted to hang out with your friends. But as I look back at it, I mean, the gratitude I feel to my parents for having just done that for me. It's, I mean, now, and also now that I'm older, I know how expensive it is and the financial commitment they made to be sure that I was trained and that I could sing at a level that could get me somewhere. And I'm truly blessed, really.
Yes, that's so awesome that spirit, you know, just it was just all over it, you know, with getting you to your lessons, and then
Isn't that so true?
all these years later, right? And you've been doing it. I mean, you know, you've been singing your entire life, basically. You know, I know that you told me about the cruise ships and the different things and benefits and different things that you do.
Yeah.
So that it just stayed with you up until this point, which we know that you have a CD coming out, a new CD. And can you tell us about that as well? Like, because it kind of just all kind of led up to where you are like right now with your singing, like all the way back from back then, like second grade or whatever. And now here we are. And just tell us about that, the inspiration and what it's like to do this finally.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting. As I mentioned to you, you know, I learned around my mid 20s to communicate with the universe and pay attention. It's really all about being awake and paying attention.
Yes.
And I remember I was living in the city, New York City. I did a one-woman show there, and my one-woman show was called Home is Where Your Heart Is. Mm-hmm. And my opening number was a song called Listen to My Heart. And that song is written by David Freeman, who is also the composer of all the music on my album. And as a singer, it's anyone's dream to meet a composer who can create music that reflects who I am. Like my soul, every song that he would write, I mean, my soul would just soar. I was so in alignment, my energy with all of his messages. And I remember I asked my music director at the time in the city, and I said, do you think David Friedman would ever hear me sing his song, Listen to My Heart? Because I sing it well. I mean, I was like, my soul was like singing to the stars.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, probably not. You know, he's a big Disney composer, and he's on Broadway, and he's a busy guy. But, you know, as I said, I pay attention to my inner feelings. I just knew there was something there. that I was going to meet him someday. I didn't know how, I didn't know where, I didn't know when, but I knew I was going to meet him. And at that point, that's when I was in debt, doing the starving artist thing. So I moved out of the city and I moved back to Greenwich, Connecticut, where I continued to pursue my massage therapy practice. I've been a licensed massage therapist for over 14 years. And I love my work as a therapist. It's so rewarding. It's unbelievable. So I really just I left the singing for a little bit, and I knew that I had to take responsibility for my financial situation. And because I've also, in hindsight, looking back at it, it's like, I can't create my dreams if I'm in debt and if I'm in stress. You have to balance the mind and the heart and get to a place where you can support the creative side for yourself.
Absolutely.
And so I spent about 2 years focusing on the massage therapy practice. That is also when I was.
You had shared with me, you actually brought these spiritual principles into your, not just your daily life, but even your work and your daily life as well. Even that little detour, which wasn't really a detour if we think about it, right?
Yeah, it's interesting how you look in hindsight, how everything is perfect.
Yes.
Everything is perfect. Like, as I work as a therapist, I was able to bring mindfulness into it. Whenever I work with a client, I ask Spirit to guide my hands and my heart through every session. I open it up. I really open it up. I remember one time I had this woman, she came up to me and we were about to start the session and she said, I have so much anger, I want you to massage the anger out of me. And I just okay, and I shut the door, let her set herself up, and I put my hand on my heart and I went, okay, Spirit, what should we be doing here? And I opened the door and all I did was send her love. I nurtured her. I just sent her love, and she transformed like you wouldn't believe. She walked out of there flying. And it was, to me, that was one of the first experiences of witnessing the power that we have to transform a dynamic, even if there's just one person conscious.
Yes, just knowing the truth, just knowing it.
Only one of us. Only one of us needs to know that, because if we can come at it from that, it's incredible how it just melts any sort of tension, any sort of negativity, and it opens the heart. And that's what New Thought and spirituality is about. And it's not just about me singing about it, but it's also about in every moment, when I wake up in the morning, when I'm in the car, send love.
Yes.
And when I get to my clients, send love.
Yeah.
So I focused on my massage therapy practice for about 2 years, and I did feel wonderful. I felt fulfilled. But then it got to the point where I was needing the music again. Yes. And I remember I was talking on the phone with my mom, and she said to me, why don't you check out that spiritual center you said you mentioned in Norwalk? You should check it out. You need a like-minded community.
Yes.
And I listened, and I've learned in my life to listen to my mom, because she's was always right.
Yeah.
And I'm serious. And so I did. I listened. I walked up the stairs to Unity of Norwalk, and I sit down, and 2 rows in front of me sits David Freeman, which is the composer I always dreamed to meet and thought it was going to be in New York City, and that's what everyone else did, and that's my mind. That was my
But Spirit knew something else, right? But you always believed it, though.
But I also had to listen to Spirit, and I had to let it go, because I had to let go of how it was going to happen, because how I was doing it wasn't working.
Right. Yeah, like you said, you had this one idea, it's going to be this way, right? Yeah. You let it go, and then it just came right into your life, right?
Absolutely. And so I met David, and we've done many benefits together. We did another album together at one point, and I'll have to be honest with you, last November, around the election time, I remember a lot of people were incredibly upset. The world was scary. And it's amazing. The day after the inauguration, I sat in my chair here in the office, and it's almost like it was a download, and it was like, it's time. The green light was like blinking, and I knew it was time to create something. And that's what I did.
Wow. So that was the green light from Spirit to this CD called Dream Bigger, right?
It's called Dream Bigger, Songs of Hope, Healing, and Inspiration. And it really is an album that merges my massage therapy practice with my voice and my singing, because I've noticed a pattern throughout the years with my clients and of course with the world at large, that
Yes.
people are more stressed than ever.
Yes.
People are more disconnected, not only from themselves, from their bodies, from others.
Yes.
And people are in fear. It's a scary time because there are a lot of challenges. Things are moving at a faster rate. And I really felt that if I created an album that was intimate, that really reflected love and hope, that it could be a source of light for people in these times. And that's why I did it. I read somewhere that your true purpose is finding the intersection of what you love to do and what the world needs. And that's 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 what I'm doing, and it feels absolutely incredible. And I'm so excited to share the album and talk about it and talk about these times. And yes,
Yes.
it's challenging, but wow, the opportunity we all have to grow and to expand. Do you ever hear that little saying that says, when the caterpillar thought the world was over, it became a butterfly?
Yes.
And this is our time to turn into the butterfly. This is our, actually, really, these times are when we're in the cocoon, we're transforming, right? So
Yes.
we're moving through, we're peeling the layers,
Like the goo, almost, that little, the cocoon of all the
yeah,
myths, and then
all of our,
coming
we're
out.
getting triggered, all the fears coming out within ourselves and the world, and it's up to us to transmute it with love.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's an amazing, gorgeous, necessary message for today, and it's just so wonderful that you have done this album, and your voice, and just tell the viewers, I mean, it's so gorgeous. I mean, I can't even I can't even explain it. Yeah, they'll have to listen for themselves to hear it, but it's so beautiful. And so so I thank you, and I'm sure the world is going to thank you for your CD and how just beautiful your voice is. It's just amazing. Yeah.
Thank you. It's and I deliberately made it just voice and piano because I wanted it to be intimate. I wanted my listeners to feel that I'm in the room, that I'm present. I'm here
Yes.
with you. You're not alone. And to David Freeman, I mean, his music is amazing. His music really reflects new thought. He talks about new ways of seeing the world. One of the songs on my album is called A Different Light, and it's about perspective. Because, a miracle's a perspective away,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And so A Different Light is about that. Another song in the album is called The Gift of Trouble. And that's a big one because, even in my own personal life, when I went through some really tough times,
Yes.
it was in those tough times in the goo that I really learned and figured out what patterns and beliefs and thoughts I had within myself that I needed to transform, because I was creating that life for myself. And so I needed to be aware of what thoughts I was thinking and what beliefs I was holding that was putting me in these horrendous circumstances.
Yes, yes, because there's always a gift in that, the chaos or the crisis, or when you come out of it, right? You see the gift, you're like, oh gosh, that, you see what it was,
if you're willing to.
If you're willing to, yes.
We're not willing to see it and only think of ourselves as a victim, then we don't.
Yeah.
So that's, the gift of trouble. That's a big one. It's a tough message to swallow, but of course David writes it in a way that's compassionate and loving and supportive.
Yeah. It's not about bashing ourselves or hurting ourselves over it, but there is a gift in the trouble because God or spirit is always working for our good. And so then, that's so, I mean, that's just a beautiful message as well.
Well, I think what's in the micro is in the macro, right? So what happens to us on a personal level is happening on a global level, right? So we're now giving opportunity to look at what's been underneath and bring it out to be looked at, and to say, this isn't how we want to be anymore.
Right.
And so we need to change. And we do that at a personal level, we do it at a collective level. And I think that if we can see the world and our own situation in that light, it's easier to deal with, and it's easier to transform.
Yes, yes, yes. And it's the work that we're all doing that we, you know, that we feel called to do, whether it's writing or the film or your music. And that's what we're called to do, to kind of help it along, you know, help
Well,
it along.
and let me tell you, you know, us human beings, we don't like change, and
Right.
we resist change. And even if we're in a situation that's not healthy for us, but if it's all we know and it's in our comfort zone, we're going to stay there.
Stay. Yeah.
And personally and as a collective, we can't.
Right. We've got
And
to move. Yeah.
we have to grow, and we have to expand, and we have to awaken to our divine nature and bring out within us, from within us, our soul's nature, the love, the connection. There's a part of us that is already connected and has never left.
Yeah, it's always there.
Knows we're connected, that knows we're all one, that knows what I do to you, I do to myself.
Yes, yes, yes.
We need to bring that part out of ourselves and let that come through and shine our light.
Absolutely. So yes, so thank you, you know, for your music, and actually we're almost out of time, but I mean, this has been just a wonderful, wonderful time speaking to you. And I want to tell the viewers once again about your concert at Unity of Norwalk. It's going to be on January 13th. Is that correct?
Yep, January 13th in Norwalk, Connecticut, 3 Main Street at 7:30 p.m. And it's going to be a great evening. David Freeman, the composer, is going to be there, and he has a book called We Can Be Kind that is based upon the song We Can Be Kind that's in the album, and he'll be there, and it's going to be a real magical evening.
Awesome. And I know that Unity of Norwalk, as I mentioned earlier, they're also screening the film that As a Man Thinketh, and you're doing a book study too, I guess, or I don't know if that's private, but it's just wonderful. And so they are screening that on January 26th.
26th, yep. So come out, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, tell everyone to come out and see it. It's such an awesome film. Everyone's going to enjoy it. They're going to love it. And so, Christina, though, I want you to tell the viewers also where else they can find out more about you and your work.
Well, my album's called Dream Bigger, Songs of Hope, Healing, and Inspiration.
There it is.
And it's available on iTunes, Amazon, as well as Spotify.
Okay. Is it available now?
Yep, it's available now.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, and so it's exciting. And you can go to my website, which is ChristinaConnors.com, ChristinaConnors.com. And that's where you'll learn all about me.
For the folks too, so they can see it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Thank you as well, and thank you so much for doing the work you do. I have your book here. Yay!
Yes. The people. Yes, and I may hopefully we'll be doing a virtual workshop with you guys soon. But
absolutely,
yes, enjoy the book, and
thank you. So thank you for the work you do, and this is what it's all about: sharing the message and sharing our unique gifts and supporting each other, and that's how we're gonna make a shift.
Absolutely. So namaste.
Namaste.